Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I'm going to be doing my sketchbook tour video for what I drew and created for the month of July. It was part watercolor, part ink. So I took my Rotring Isograph. This is a fine liner technical pen. I really like this. This is the 0.5. Here's where you put the ink in. And then I just used the Repeatograph Universal. This is brown. This is a water. It says waterproof, but I am able to manipulate it on the page with water. So I don't know about that for this one. But I really do like the color and I like brown. For watercolors that I used 4 colors. I used the Daniel Smith Cobalt Teal Blue, Lunar Black, Lunar Earth, and then the Da Vinci Burnt Umber. All of these are light fast and they're also very granulating. And that was on point because I drew trees and branches and things, and I wanted the assistance of extra texture. For the paper, it is from my roll, my Strathmore 500. That is 100% cotton. It's a little bit thinner than standard watercolor paper, but it's mixed media and I really, really like it. I did a treatment of gouache. This is Holbein's Brilliant Gold. And as you can see, I've really been using it up, but I did a light wash on top of the paper and let that dry before I started creating. So every single page has a bit of a gold sheen. This is what I used to bind it. This is some, I don't know. I want to say this is like, oh gosh, thread you use for packaging. It has a little bit of a little green in it. I don't know. It's what I've had for years. So you ready for this? Okay, here it is. And I took a branch from our tree. So this is coastal redwood right here. And I was pruning. And so I had some bits and bobs and then stitched it. So World Watercolor Month, July 2025. Okay. And you can kind of see a little bit of gold sheen. I don't know if I'm gonna like angle every single page so you can see it, but just know that every page has some gold sparkle and shimmer on it. Okay, so I used the prompts. I'll put it over here. I put the prompt list right here. I used the prompts from Doodle Wash since the month of July is World Watercolor Month. I bound these out of order that I created them in. So I followed the prompts every single day, but then I went to bind it, I changed it up a bit. So I'm just gonna go off of how I bound it and I can try and justify it. Some of these are a huge stretch to make these work with that prompt list, but that was part of the fun and part of the challenge. So this is the Great Horned Owl and the prompt was howl, and they kind of do that. You can look up on YouTube and different places, they have bird sounds and it's really cool. Okay, this is the Eastern Golden Weaver. This is a bird from Africa. Definitely check out birds from the continent of Africa because they are phenomenal. And I chose this one because the prompt was weave, and these make really cool woven nests from like twigs and dried grasses and stuff. So definitely recommend. This is the Osprey, and the prompt was submerge. And these totally like dive down to get their fish and submerge themselves. So you can see all the birds are ink and all the branches and stuff are the watercolor. And I have it organized 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? So that is part of the curation of the sketchbook. And some of these are a little bit cut off because of how I bound it, but it's fine. I scanned all these before I bound it together. These are chipping sparrows, and the prompt was fade, and I have aspen trees here and the trees are kind of fading into the paper. Again, some of these prompts are a huge stretch. So this is a bald eagle and the prompt was home, and I'm stating that the bald eagle feels at home in a tree. Yeah. So, these are cardinals and the prompt was melt. So you can kind of see some gold shimmer. And this is a corkscrew willow tree, and to me it looks like the branches are kind of melting. Not all these trees have names, but some of them do. Some of them are just random branches. This is the only bird you won't find in the wild. This is an old Dutch capuchin, and the prompt was jacket, and the way their feathers come up around them, it looks like they're wearing a feather fur coat. And I had to do them because, again, nothing looks like a jacket like this bird. It's so amazing. Okay, these are the hooded patui, and I think these are in New Guinea. Anyway, the prompt was spicy, and I chose these birds because these birds are actually poisonous. They have a neurotoxin on their skin. So if you handle them and you get it, yeah, so your hands might go numb. I've drawn these and painted these several times because they're one of the only poisonous birds, and they're like black and orange, so they already look Halloween ready. And they're just a really cool bird. Okay, this is the marabou stork, and the prompt for this one was tower. And I drew this one because they're so tall that they tower over other birds. You can really see the gold on this one. Some of them have a heavier sheen than others. Okay. This one is the European robins, and the prompt was cavern. So I kind of drew what would be considered a cavern in a tree, kind of. Again, it's a stretch, but we're just gonna go with it. Raven, and the prompt was ripple. So for this one, the tree is sort of rippling out again. What I didn't do for this, I had limitations. So I didn't draw any birds that are flightless. So no penguins, no ostriches, no rheas, no kiwis, none of those. And the other thing I didn't do was birds that don't end up in trees. So I could have done a series of ducks because they're on the water and it ripples, but there's no tree for me to draw them into because they don't go into trees like that. So that is why I chose what I did. I know. 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. The prompt was turtle. So I think this one worked. We're gonna play it off like this one worked for sure. This is an anhinga. It kind of looks like a cormorant, but it's its own thing. And the prompt was chair. And what I'm saying is that a lot of birds use branches and trees as chairs. So again, it's a bit of a stretch, but tons of fun. Chicken. And the prompt for this was street food. I'm sorry. I'd say it's in poor taste, but you think the pun was intended. Again, I didn't do flightless birds, but a kiwi also would have worked for street food. Yeah, I know. Okay, we'll move on from it. Canadian goose, and the prompt was rigid. So let's suspend some stuff here. So when geese feel threatened, they sort of like go stiff, they go rigid and try to stand taller and appear bigger. And so that is how I justified drawing a goose for the prompt of rigid. I know, we're just gonna go with it. Okay, black-throated gray warblers, and the prompt was tired. So this is actually a Utah juniper, and I'm saying that the tree is tired. It kind of fell over and broke and stuff. So that's why that's like that. This is an ornate hawk eagle, and there are a bunch of different types of hawk eagles, but the prompt was ornate, and this one, it has the coolest like black and white like stripes, and then it has these bright yellow like feet that hold these massive black talons. Hawk eagles are just really, really cool. So check them out if you haven't. This is the ornate one, as the prompt was ornate. So that one definitely worked. Carolina wrens, and the prompt was espresso. So I'm saying my tree is espresso colored. Again, I know it's a reach. We're just gonna go with it. Thank you for being patient. African vulture, another bird from Africa. And so I drew the baobab tree, which also is in Africa. It's a really unique, wonderful tree. So they go together. I wasn't able to do that for every single prompt, but I really do love all things in Africa. And the prompt for this one was hat, and I'm saying he's using the canopy as a hat. So it's definitely a stretch. Okay, and this is the European honey buzzards, and the prompt was drift. So when these migrate, they use the wind to help drift and like take a break. So they definitely use the wind for assistance. Yeah. So that's, again, a lot of birds would have fit the prompt of drift. because a lot of birds migrate around and do things like that. Okay. We have the band-tailed pigeon, and the prompt for this one was lock, and I'm saying that the talons are locked around the branches. So again, a lot of different birds could have fit this prompt, but there's a bunch of really cool pigeons out there. I had to say that. Okay. Corn bunting, and the prompt was stretch. So this one is stretching its wings, and that's a bit of a stretch. Yep. Okay. The Guinea turcow. The prompt was avocado. So I drew a bird that is avocado colored, even though my ink is brown. But know that this is a delightful green. It's just a really beautiful green, and it's a wonderful looking bird. So, the northern mockingbird, and this is one that definitely got cut off because of my binding, but we're just gonna go with it. The prompt was perform, and they have a really cool song they sing, so that is why I chose that, the sounds. Some birds are more performers than others. This is a keeled-billed toucan, and I love toucans. Oh my gosh, do I love toucans. All of them are just, there's so many different ones with different color combinations on their beaks that if you're interested in drawing and you want to get into trying weird things, definitely look up all the different varieties of toucan. And toucanettes, those are really adorable as well. The prompt for this was rumble. And again, like the cassowary, which is a flightless bird, definitely rumbles. Or the shoebill, that one kind of, well, that one sounds like a gun going off, but there's kind of a rumble aspect to them, but both of those are flightless. So I chose this one because toucans make a lot of really weird noises. So they yelp, they croak, they click, they grunt, and then they have sort of a purring, rumbling sound that they do. You can find these, again, these sounds on YouTube. Some people have these as like pets, I'm not sure if it's a pet situation or they're like a sanctuary or something, but you can hear all the different noises they make, and they do make sort of a purr that sounds like a rumble to me. Okay, the marbled murrelet. Again, I did a video on this. The prompt was sea, and these go and live in the sea, but when they go to nest and lay their single egg, it's in a tree. And that's what makes these birds so unique. And a couple videos ago, I have a whole video about these guys just because they're so wonderful and unique. Okay, spoonbill. The prompt for this one was kitchen. So I keep my spoons in the kitchen. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna play it off if that works. Okay, thank you. Amethyst woodstar. The prompt for this was geode, and a lot of hummingbirds have names like ruby-throated somebody, like there's a bunch that have sort of gemstone names. So for geode, I chose the amethyst woodstar because amethyst geodes are really pretty. African gray. The prompt for this one was dusty, and these have like a specialized powder down feathers that they sort of wiggle out, and it creates like this powder dust that they use like when they're preening and stuff. So if you're interested in what different feathers do in different birds, definitely check out the African gray. They're really interesting. Sandhill cranes. You know, he's on top of the tree, but it looks kind of weird. I don't know if this one was a success. The prompt was group. So there's two. It's a group. we're calling it. And the last one was actually the first one I created, and this is a screech owl, and the prompt was radiant. And I love owls, so to me, this owl is radiant. And starts with an owl, ends with an owl. It's the only animal I did two of. Again, I followed, if you're like curious how I did this, there was language involved. I broke a needle. Third time was a charm. So on Instagram, there was a lovely lady who had shown like very quickly how to bind and do this binding. It's like wood branch binding, like stick binding. And it was an Instagram reel tutorial, and there's a couple jump cuts, and it's really quick and you can't pause it. And so it was really hard for me to follow, but I did the best I could, and it kind of worked, and I'm keeping it as is. This is kind of like branch. So this was a lot. So I would say going forward, I'm only going to do tutorials where they're YouTube tutorials and I can pause them and slow them down, or tutorials where it's on someone's blog so I can read it and follow each individual step. No more Instagram reel tutorials for me, especially with bookbinding, because I'm just not comfortable enough with it. I'm very much a beginner. I do not know what I'm doing. This is why I don't film myself doing this portion, because I'm so slow and my methodology is all wrong and I start in the wrong place, end in the wrong place, don't use enough string. I mean well. What it is I mean well, but my execution's all wrong. So I won't be recording that. There are other YouTubers on here that do bookbinding tutorials. C Lemon, I follow hers. Hers are lovely. This wasn't like particularly groundbreaking or, I don't know. It just wasn't like super challenging. Time constraint wise, these range from about like an hour to an hour and a half. So they weren't super intensive with time, which was good. July was a lot in our house, in our home, for health reasons. And so my biggest accomplishment is just creating something in the month of July. It could have been anything. It could have been finger painting and I would have been like, oh my God, I'm so proud of myself because I got something done. So that is my biggest takeaway here, is that even when everything becomes emotionally and mentally hard in our house, drawing every day and having my own personal sketchbook projects is my self-care. This is my fun thing that I give back to myself. And I'm really proud of myself just for being able to do a thing. I did a thing in the month of July and July was so hard. So that is my takeaway for this. Some of these I really love. I scanned them in case I want to include them on my webpage or something later. I'm not sure. Some of these I consider fails and they just aren't successful, but that's okay because I created every day and I was able to get that stress relief and do something fun. And I love birds. Birds are such a comfort illustration drawing thing for me. I feel very comfortable doing them in all formats, all mediums, all surfaces, because I've just done enough of them. I hope you enjoyed this. It's just this side of weird that some of these are almost wonderful. Together, I think it works. I think it works as a whole better than individual pages. So it definitely is something that has to stay bound as a sketchbook. But I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you later. Bye.